to Atypical Talk, and this is a podcast where we have conversations that illuminate the intersection of faith, culture, and the common spaces of our humanity. I'm Abby.
I'm Joel.
And I'm Allison.
And we're going to be talking about libraries here in a bit. So I wanted to ask, what are you guys reading right now?
So I just finished a book called Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid for a book club about women fighting for the chance to go into space and also navigating life and expectations and all that comes with being a woman wanting to do a stereotypical man's job in America. So it was actually really good. And so now I have to find a new read. Yeah. So that's always exciting for me.
And that's historical fiction? Because it's like based in the space race. It's like the Hidden Figures timeline kind of thing.
Kind
the
of,
movie
yeah.
Of that. Yeah.
Yes.
That's
not
awesome.
as, historically accurate,
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
I love, that's awesome.
Yeah, but it was good.
Yeah.
What about you?
I'm currently reading a book called The Troop by Nick Cutter, and it's about a Boy Scout troop that goes on like a yearly trip to this island just off the coast of Maine.
It's going to be scary.
Does like a backpacking trip. Yeah. And like things happen. They lose communication with the mainland and they can't get back.
And they're kids?
It's kids and one adult, like their troop leader.
Terrifying.
And this man shows up and I think he's kind of like infected like a zombie and is like attacking them and stuff. And
Have you watched Yellow Jackets?
I haven't yet. I've heard a lot about it.
If you like that book, you'll probably like Yellow Jackets.
I don't know how I feel about the book yet. I keep going back and forth between I like it and then I'm like, oh, it's kind of boring and slowing down. Yeah.
What's Yellow Jackets about? What's it on?
Okay.
For
I
context.
can't. I will have to.
I think it's on HBO.
We can put it in the
Yeah, we'll
show
have to
notes.
look back. Yellow Jackets, it's basically about a girls' sports team who is on a plane. It crashes.
I've heard about this.
Yeah. It's real weird,
Lord of the
though.
Flies?
So, I mean, like...
It's like Lord of the Flies kind of situation?
Yeah, like,
Okay.
so trigger warnings, like lots of different things if you don't like scary things.
It says Paramount Plus is where it's streaming.
I do not have that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Neither do I.
I think I got it with my phone or something, you know, one of those
How
things.
that bundle works.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, it's weird.
Okay. What about you, Joel?
I'm currently reading, it's a really strange book for me because it's a collection of reflections and poetry called In the Low by Scott Erickson. You might know Scott Erickson as Scott the Painter. And
Yeah, we did Advent with him, right?
Yeah, a few years ago we read some of his Advent stuff. And but anyway, and Justin McRoberts, he co-wrote it with, who's a musician and artist as well. It's called In the Low, Honest Prayers for Dark Seasons. It's a collection of meditations and devotional readings for seasons of depression. So it sounds like a real fun, but and it's it's not, but it's been really, really cool because I don't think in my story I'm not prone towards depression. I have, if anything, mild seasonal depression as things get really cold and desolate in Indiana. But it's been really cool just for an empathy journey for me to sort of like read some of these reflections and poems about where people are at and how they get there and how they need just enough light for the next day and how Christian spirituality offers the resources that we need, but it's not in the here's a stick of candy and this will
like
make
a
everything
self-help,
better, or it's not like, well, pray this and it's all going to go away. So it talks about the journey of depression and darkness and mental health. And so anyway, oddly enough, I'm really enjoying it, and it's just putting me in a more empathetic headspace for a lot of people that I serve and love that struggle with mental illness. Scott Erickson is known as Scott the Painter. We should tag him on his social media. Every poem has this really, really cool illustration on every page, which is fun. And the cover of the book has a massive whale and then somebody in the belly of the whale, a la Jonah. And so Thomas, my 4-year-old, just carries it around all the time. Daddy, will you read this to me? I'm like, no, buddy, I don't want to read this to you. But he just sees the big whale on it. And he's like, this is so cool.
You can make up the words.
I'm just
going to
make it up as I go with every
you wouldn't
illustration. But yeah, I'm enjoying that, and it's been a fun, not fun maybe, but a helpful read at this time. Yeah, enriching. Yeah,
that's cool. So our first topic today, it's a religion news article titled Faith Communities Have a Critical Role in Defending Our Nation's Libraries. Libraries and houses of worship serve as vital community institutions that share a common mission of welcome, knowledge sharing, and service. Both spaces provide refuge and resources to diverse populations, fostering an environment where different belief systems and traditions can coexist. However, libraries increasingly face threats from those who use faith as justification for censorship. During Banned Books Week, faith leaders and librarians emphasized that protecting libraries aligns with religious communities' commitments to truth, compassion, and justice. The freedom to read and access diverse materials is intertwined with religious freedom itself. To combat censorship threats, librarians and faith communities must build coalitions dedicated to serving everyone in their communities. Religious leaders should stand alongside library workers to defend the freedom to read, think, and grow, recognizing that libraries strengthen democracy by providing spaces where all voices, religious and secular, diverse and questioning, can be heard. Through collaboration and mutual support, these institutions can continue their shared mission of nurturing community, flourishing, and protecting intellectual freedom. So, I'm starting off with a heavy question, but what are your thoughts on banned books?
Who gets to decide which books are banned?
Yeah.
I have so many thoughts on this,
also.
I have young kids, and my oldest is learning how to read, so this is not like hitting into those like fear places that I think a lot of people tend to go of what can my kid get a hold of or what's being read to my kid. So grace umbrella there, but who's deciding what books are banned and why, right? Like I want my kids to grow up and be exposed to diverse thought and opinions and different things that they would not experience just from home. But I think it's part of my role as a parent to help guide them and help them understand those things. And in my guiding, there will probably be things as a parent that I'll say, you're not ready for this yet, or this might be something that might not be healthy for you at this stage of life. But, we talk about freedom all the time. Like, I want to have the freedom to choose that for my kid and not to take that away from somebody else that might be in a different stage of life or have a different standard in their family. And so the line that stuck out to me that just sort of broke me a little bit was, how libraries are increasingly, they're facing these threats from people that use faith for justification for censorship, and people saying, well, because this is against my morality that I get from my faith, and I'm going to censor these things. The reality is, like, something could change, and then somebody can come in and say, like, well, now you can't have this book, or hey, the Bible's got some R-rated, X-rated stuff in it, right? That that you could thumb through and find, and who's going to decide what is able to be read? And so I tend to lean into the side of, like, man, when we get into censorship in any kind, from like a government level or from an oversight level, our world is gonna get so small, and we're not gonna see other people's experiences and have empathy for their experiences, and to see why we're different, even understand why we might be different and live our lives differently. And not only that, the goalpost is always going to be moved for who's got power at that time to see who's banning what books. And I don't like that reality. If I want my kids to have freedom, and I want to have freedom to read what I want to read as well. So I think it's a dangerous game to play, and I don't think it actually thinks to the third turn of what this actually looks like down the road for people. And I would love to see parents taking responsibility for, guiding their kids instead of just locking things away from their kids and other people's kids at the same time.
Well, and also, like, to that point, I mean, you've been a kid. If your parent says, you can't have this.
Oh, I'm going to go to my friend's house and get it.
You're going to
I'm going to find a way, right?
So have a conversation instead of just saying, like, this is an absolute no. We're burning this book so it, can't be read. Like, let's talk about why you feel that way instead. Or maybe like, hey, not yet, like you said. But, I feel like everybody has the right to learn, right? The right to educate themselves of different religions, cultures, ways of life. And like, how are we going to do that if we're only reading books about people who look, act, vote, grew up the same way that we did, right? Like, you don't have a world view at that point anymore. You just have this corner view of like the street corner that you grew up on, and that's it. And for me, like, that's so sad because not everyone can afford to travel or visit or go, you know, see different places and cultures. Yeah. And so like reading, that's how you're going to learn about all these different people and places and historical time periods that you didn't grow up in. And so, yeah, if we just start banning all these books because we don't agree with them or they don't align with what we believe, like, you're just eliminating entire populations and history. And I don't know, it's a slippery slope, and I'm not here for it at all.
Yeah, I heard somebody say once that when your world becomes the world, it's a dangerous place to be. To not see that, like, okay, you can have all your reasons for believing and living the way that you do, but when you think that everybody has that same thing and then they don't, it's a dangerous thing because they become strangers, and then they become enemies. They become people that you can't understand why they would ever, because you haven't walked in their shoes. And so it's really important to like learn from different worldviews, different cultures, different religions and traditions, and all these different things. And I think ultimately, you know, this conversation the banned books things comes back to, you know, sexuality conversations and people that have different sexual orientations and that make people feel so uncomfortable. And that's where I come back to, like, okay, as a parent, like, be an active parent and, you know, read books with your kids, or say like, oh, well, you know, this is someone's experience, but we don't believe that, or this is someone's experience, you can learn from that, or we're not going to talk about that. You can't read this book yet at this time. You know what I mean? Like, but to like come so strong with power over and just ban books, it just feels like such a loss. And it feels like, you know, just people that want to talk about freedom and having so much freedom, and it feels like, oh, unless it comes to reading, you know, and then we can take it away.
Can't coexist. Like you're wanting to have freedom and then ban it.
The world is a really big and complicated and messy place, and people are complicated and messy. And hey, I am complicated and messy. We all are. So like the more that we like act like it's not like that, because we just cancel things and ban things, the more difficult it's going to be for people to actually go out in the world and be contributing members of society, let alone change the world and bring good into the world, you know, if you don't know how to interact and where people are coming from. So I think it's a dangerous road to
at
walk.
what point do you stop too? Like, where's the line for...
Yeah, it's whoever has power for that month or that year. That's what it is.
And that's no bueno. That's no good. No good.
Yeah. Our next topic today, it's a NBC Chicago article titled "The Indianapolis Clowns Become the Midwest's First Banana Ball Team." The Savannah Bananas are bringing back one of the baseball's most legendary teams as part of their new Banana Ball Championship League starting in 2026. Allison, do you want to talk real quick here about what the Savannah Bananas are?
Please tell people.
Yeah. Before we get too far into this article.
Sure. So if you're familiar with like the Harlem Globetrotters, I would say that's kind of the closest comparison. Yeah. They are goofy. They do a lot of stunt type things. There's music playing the whole time. Like there's dancing, you know, those kinds of things. But it is a legitimate baseball game. Yeah. Like, it's not, the Savannah Bananas do not win every time. That's not like the expectation, you know, of who they're playing. Like, it's a legitimate baseball game, but also, like, if there's a pop fly into the outfield, like, the guy might catch it literally doing a backflip behind his back, you know, like, what? Yeah. So the atmosphere is electric the whole time, but it's such good, clean, family, fun entertainment. I've loved it. We went and saw them in Chicago, and it was a great time.
So who do they play?
So there's other people in their league.
Do they do tricks too? The other teams?
Yeah.
So the Bananas are just like the best at it.
They started, yes. Okay. They started this league. That's where it originated.
Because I just always feel like the Globetrotters, like they just always like clown the other team that's trying to be like legit and like real baseball. You know what I mean in that way?
No.
But, okay.
I'm so excited that they are expanding the league to more teams, more games, more chances for people to be able to see them, because it is so fun. And there's a lottery system right now to get tickets, because everybody wants to go see them, and obviously there's not that many games and seats, and so it's one of those situations where tickets have been a struggle, not like Taylor Swift Eras Tour kind of struggle because they don't use Ticketmaster, thank the good Lord above. But this will just give more people a chance to be able to go see them, which I just love.
Yeah. So in this league, they're reviving the Indianapolis Clowns, who were the last Negro Leagues team to disband and were pioneers of entertainment-based barnstorming baseball. The Clowns won several league titles before becoming a traveling exhibition team similar to the Harlem Globetrotters. The revived Clowns will be one of 6 teams in the Banana Ball Championship League. They'll make their debut on February 27th in Tallahassee and play their first home games at Victory Field in Indianapolis on May 15th and 16th. Former Phillies star Ryan Howard will serve as the team's primetime coach, with Eric Fox, who has been with the Bananas since 2018, as head coach. Fans interested in attending games can enter ticket lotteries on the Bananas website, which remain open until October 31st.
Or don't, so I have a better chance of going.
The partnership aims to preserve the Clowns' legacy while introducing their innovative blend of baseball and entertainment to millions of fans across the country. So, Allison talked a little bit about this, but what did you think when you heard about this? Did you know the history behind the Indianapolis Clowns and everything?
I did not know anything about the Indianapolis Clowns. I heard about the Savannah Bananas during COVID on TikTok. That's where I first came across them. But I had no idea that had been a thing previously until they mentioned the Indianapolis Clowns coming back. I had no idea. But Hank Aaron, who is a Hall of Fame professional ball player, played for the Clowns the last time they were around. So
really?
This is a legit thing. They're not just clowning around.
That's going to be so fun.
Yeah.
Would you take,
Oh, yeah. That
okay.
sounds like if we can get tickets at list price,
Yeah.
that sounds really great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember last time trying to see the Savannah Bananas when they were around. I was like, oh, not doing that because I think my kids would make it through 2 innings. I'm not paying for that.
You'd be surprised. There were so many young kids there, and because there's music and entertainment the whole time, they were really engaged. But yeah, we only got tickets. I can't seem to win the lottery myself, but we had
You're
friends.
not alone.
I know. I know. But we had friends who got tickets and then weren't able to go, and I was like, oh, yay.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I'll take them off your hands. No, it sounds like really, really a good time.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
It'd be fun. And it's probably, for little kids too, it's probably easier to keep their attention
Yes,
Oh,
1,000%.
than a traditional baseball game that has some slow times.
Yes.
Because we took the boys to a Reds game this summer, and it's end of, the second inning. It was like, oh, can we go get some food? I'm like, oh, okay, this is what we're doing
done
today.
already? But yeah, they had Chance the Rapper came out and did a performance in the middle. They always have celebrities and professionals that come back and play, and so I don't know. There's some of that allure to it too.
It'll be fun.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
I'm excited to see where it goes next year. So Kokomo's getting a new baseball team, and right
it's
now
back.
there's voting on what to name the team. If you guys could name Kokomo's new baseball team, what would you name it?
Oh man, I would probably try to go with something tied to Kokomo's history and back to some of the legacy of Kokomo. And I don't know if everybody knows this that's listening, but Elwood Haynes, there's an elementary school that we partner with called Elwood Haynes, but he was actually one of the very first inventors and people that created a gas motored car. And so I'm like, well, we have automotive here in town with Chrysler, Stellantis, or whatever they're called this month, and a lot of history there. And I'm like, oh, that'd be so cool to bring something the Kokomo Motor Kings or the Roadsters or something like that would tie into the car thing. That's my first thought there.
Yeah, I was also thinking automotive, but also these minor league baseball teams a lot of times have very quirky names, like the Rocket City Trash Pandas and the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. Their names are, a little bizarro, I think, for fan merchandise marketing purposes. So when I was thinking automotive, I was like, what if we were the Grease Monkeys?
Oh man.
Because I'm I can picture, the mascot or I don't know, the spark plugs feels really kind of basic, but also their mascot could be like Sparky or something, you guys.
That would be cute.
But then I was like, oh, well, we're more than automotive, right? So like we also have farming and lots of like, we're just Midwestern, you know, whatever kind of community. So I told Abby yesterday, I was like, what if we were the crop dusters?
That's disgusting.
You guys.
I need to take a shower. Ew. I could only see the logo, and I could see my kids wanting all the gear.
Yes,
that's really
that's
what
why.
it is.
Then it's marketable.
Oh, yeah.
I've sold it already.
Yeah. I have to go after, our own celebrity here in Kokomo and call them the Coco Mantises.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we had a soccer team.
for like one
Really?
season.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Coco
one
Mantis.
season, and then I don't know what happened to them.
Just the
but
plural of Coco Mantis.
mantises.
Yeah.
Manti? Coco
I don't know.
Manti?
It doesn't roll off the tongue.
It
well,
does
no.
not. It's not, but it'd
So
be
it feels
great.
like we should tell people what the options are now.
Yeah. Do you have that up right now?
I remember it was the Torque, which again, automotive. It was the Tropics, which I think is like a Beach Boys, maybe.
To connect Kokomo with the Beach Boys song. Yeah.
I don't remember what the other one was. And then the fourth one, which is what it will probably end up being because the votes were far and away.
They're not going to let it be this.
They will let it be
They will not
this.
let it be this.
The Creek Chubs. So
They're not going to. I
they
know it
will.
won, but they're not going to let it be there.
They will have to. There will be a revolt.
All right, democracy is dead. We cannot let voting call it win.
Listen, I'm going to advocate for the write-in vote of the crop dusters.
Go for it.
So baseball's back in Kokomo.
Yep.
And it's going to be offensive. One way or the other.
Yep, that's it.
Yep. Our final topic today, it's a Relevant magazine article titled Showing Grace in the Era of Outrage. In today's digital age, outrage has become a cultural addiction. From political controversies to celebrity missteps, there's an endless stream of things to be angry about online. Todd Detheridge, co-founder of the Telos Group, observes this troubling trend even among Christians, noting the poisonous state of our political discourse made worse by those who engage in it in the name of Jesus. While anger has its place, helping us identify boundaries and respond to genuine injustice, we've become indiscriminate in our fury, treating minor offenses with the same intensity as serious moral violations. This constant rage makes us see others as enemies, directly opposing Jesus' command to love our enemies. The solution lies in adopting a posture of grace rather than outrage. As James 1:20 reminds us, human anger does not produce the righteousness that God desires. Detheridge advocates for being peacemakers rather than proud members of the angry mob. Grace isn't glamorous or emotionally satisfying like collective outrage, but it's what Christians are called to embody. This means being slow to speak and slow to anger, listening more than talking, and refusing to demonize those we disagree with. It requires humility to recognize that we all need grace when we mess up. Ultimately, Christians must remember that our real battle isn't against flesh and blood, but against spiritual forces of evil. The culture war won't be won through angry blog posts, Facebook arguments, or sharply worded tweets. Instead, we're called to engage hopefully rather than angrily, seeking the common good and the flourishing of all people. When we reserve our outrage only for genuine injustice and approach everything else with measured grace and compassion, we reflect the divine love we've experienced. This doesn't mean ignoring real problems. It means addressing them with the truth, righteousness, and grace that characterize God's kingdom. So, my first question here is, how can we decipher what is good and bad rage?
That's a great question. I would start with just thinking that rage is actually a neutral thing. It's what we do with it. I think one of the healthier ways to understand anger in my mind is to see it as an indicator, like it's a light that's on your dashboard. Something is off. And in that is just a neutral thing, right? And what do you do with that indicator? Do you go attack somebody with it? Do you sit and sort of stew on what this person said or what they did or what this group of people said or did? Do you text your friends that agree with you about it and talk about how stupid it is and sort of start this other conversation that's just sort of like feeding that rage and cycling it up? Or do you say like, okay, what is the thing that's making me angry? What is the injustice? What is the thing that's broken? And what am I going to do about it? Am I going to just be ticked off about it, or am I going to be a small part of telling a different story? And I think when we decide that we want to, see that anger, feel that anger, but then do something with it and turn it into something that actually looks more like God's kingdom, it looks more like grace, it looks more like restorative justice, not punitive, punishing justice that's sort of anger driven, I think then rage can be a good thing. It just can't stay in rage mode. It can't stay right there. It needs to be transformed. Paul, writing to this church in Ephesus in the first century, he says something that, modern day Christians in an outrage concert, he says something that modern day Christians in an outrage culture love so much. He says, in your anger, do not sin. And we love that because it makes it sound like there's two categories. I can be angry and not sin. And we feel like it lets us off the hook. But we forget that he's in the middle of a sentence when he says that. And he continues and says, do not let the sun go down while you are still angry, and do not give the devil a foothold. So in other words, you're going to get angry. There are going to be things that offend you, that hurt you, and things that, hurt other people that you're going to be like, that's not okay. And all the lights on your dashboard are going off, right, with your rage. But, the Christ-like thing to do is to not sit in it and just stew in it. But you have to have that transformed, or according to Paul, the devil, the opposer, the accuser gets inside, and you don't want that. And it's also really interesting because the very next thing he says, it sounds like a disconnected thought, but I actually think it really connects. He says the very next verse, anyone who has been stealing must steal no longer, but must work doing something useful with their hands, that they may have something to share with those in need. At first, to me, that sounds like, he just shifted topics to people that are stealing. Stop stealing. But if you look carefully, it talks about actually creating something. It talks about cultivating something new that's actually helpful for other people. If you've been stealing, stop stealing, but do something good with your hands. Build something better than what you've seen there. And he says that they may have something to share with those in need. So, man, in an outrage culture, and in a time where there's just so much injustice and there's so many people being trampled all over, and every day you have your dealer's choice of what you should be ticked off about today, what you should be angry about today. I come back to this and I think of okay, so what am I doing to build something different? What am I doing in small ways, but in important ways to help share with those that are in need? If I'm ticked off about somebody who's being taken advantage of, what am I doing about it? And if I see somebody that's being hurt, or if I feel like I have been hurt or my loved ones have been hurt, what does love require of me? Not to sit in my rage, but to transform it and to do something, to share with something with those that are in need. And I think that's much more costly than shooting off a text message. That's much more costly and sacrificial than just raging with my friends that I know agree with me about it. And I can just get my own little rage circle over here. Because we're all going to be, angry. We're all going to get outraged at certain things, but what do we do with it? Because I think rage in itself is neutral, but what we choose to do with it is what makes it good, or if it makes it really, really unhealthy. So sorry for the mini sermon. It just sort of took me there this morning, and that connection with that idea of stop stealing, do something helpful, useful with your hands, and build something and help those that are in need. Because I think that's where rage can be healthy,
Well, and I think it's hard too with social media because, it's super easy to, hit caps lock and just
yell back,
some sort of status or in the comments or whatever. And, so many times I want to comment back and just be like, I don't think you're doing what you hope you're doing with your comments or with your post, or the things you're saying don't line up with the ways of Jesus. And a lot of these people that I'm seeing comment, I'm like, I know you go to church. I know you would call yourself a Jesus follower, but these things you're saying or the way that you're saying them, and, you can read tone, in text. And so I just don't think you're showing people, the right way to love others or have a civil disagreement or quite literally anything when you're screaming and yelling about, one side versus the other side, or this issue versus the other issue. You're just not doing what you think you're doing. And that's unfortunate because for me, and I think I've mentioned this before, we're all on the same team of loving everyone because God came to save the whole world, not just your world. So stop screaming at everybody about things. Like, you're not going to change their mind on the internet. Like, having a conversation, us sitting down around a table looking in each other's eyes, like, that's how you're going to have conversation that could potentially, you know, change someone's mind or change your mind if you're open to that as well, as you should be. So, you know, it's very hard, though, if you're on social media to not sit in the rage a lot of times. So, there, you know, but you have to get off
and
there.
I totally agree. And I think, and that's what it comes to. Like, I have talked to so many people over the last couple months that are sort of sitting in this kind of cycle and just like simmering anger all the time because of people they see online. And I'm like, well,
you gotta get off.
It's your responsibility. Like, you are opting into this. And so I think I've encouraged people to get off of it. I've encouraged people to hit the great unfollow button to where it's not like an unfriending to where they get this notification or they can't see your stuff, but you don't see their post. Like, that is on you. And there are a lot of people that see the world differently than you, and they're, you know, finding a platform and a community to say it online, and you might disagree with it, but the responsibility is on you to protect, you know, your response to these things, and only you can control your response and your rage. And so if you're just logging on and just fuming because of it, like, well, that's not on them anymore. That's on you. And so maybe somebody out there needs to hear, like, you need to follow Jesus by getting off of Facebook, or you need to follow Jesus by unfollowing these top 5 people because you're not able to love them the way you're supposed to love them because of your reaction to what they're saying. You're not going to change them, like Allison said, by posting back or by fuming in your own corner. So it's your responsibility to, you know, guard the way you love them and think about them. And that means that you need to unfollow them or you need to get off.
Well, that's it for this episode of Atypical Talk. If you have any topics or questions you'd like us to talk about, you can email those to atypicaltalkpod@gmail.com. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Atypical Talk Pod. And make sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform to get updates when new episodes go live. We hope that these conversations today have helped you think wider, love deeper, and partner with God to bring the up there down here in your everyday life. Thanks for listening.